North Cheshire, thank you. Yeah, decent that. Best I've seen Sean O'Loughlin for a long time, and Williams was outstanding again.
Yeah, Sean O'Loughlin. It was. I'd say Sean O'Loughlin's best game since sometime in the 2015 season.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Wire Joe says, I think the most concerning thing is that it's not just on one side of the ball that we're letting ourselves down. We're very shaky in defence, constantly overreading plays, trying to solve problems that aren't there, and we're offering absolutely nothing going forward. Wigan were professional and clinical, but didn't have to offer much above and beyond that to beat us.
Paul Ludo Lewis said, thought we would be treated to a close game, but instead got a demolition from the world champs over the snake charmers. Wigan were ace. Kids played on the wing like they've been there for years. The Ginger Pearl running faster than 85% of Wire's backline. And Morgan Escray with the sidestep on Gidley so good it made me question my sexuality. The absence of Chris Hill is showing why he should have been Man of Steel at least once.
Yeah, I wonder if his window's gone for that now.
I suspect he won't win it this season, just based on the fact that he's missed the early stages and Wire have been fairly diabolical.
And yeah, they won't be necessarily be. Well, if he comes back in and leads them as well as he can, he's an absolute.
He's a phenomenal player. He's one of my favourite players ever, Chris Hill. He can do no wrong in my eyes.
For me, is in the conversation as, it's certainly a top 10 prop in the Super League era, I would say. And, when you think about some of the players that go in that group, people like Peacock and people like Graham and people like Morley.
And he isn't out of place
to be in that conversation. I think he totally deserves it, yeah.
On a parallel with them. Well, you were there live, mate. You saw the action unfold. What did you make of it? You must have come away fairly pleased.
I was absolutely buzzing in the first half. I mean, Warrington had a couple of chances and couldn't take advantage of them. They kept actually giving themselves half opportunities to break, but offloads, like Brian said, were sometimes just speculative, and that was it. Sometimes the half breaks that they made, Wigan were so quick to cover up for each other in defence. That was great to see. Like we said, Sean O'Loughlin had his best game for 18 months or more, and I think he showed real good leadership along with Tommy Luluwai to guide the young backs behind them around, and then the forward pack did what the Wigan forward pack's done. They were just repetitively solid and always covered each other's backs, covered for mistakes that might have gone on elsewhere, covered from any sort of misread that might have happened. Someone else was there to cover, like proper team defending. And in attack, George Williams was just, he set up every type of try, didn't he? He's kicked to Liam Marshall for the first one, the sort of weighted pass for Liam Farrell's try, and then the step and jink and go around the tired Benny Westwood to set up Jack Wells' first try in a Wigan shirt. I just think that the kid's phenomenal. And Liam Forsyth made that one mistake, didn't he, when he kind of slipped, but I think it was his own sort of decision to fall for Lynham, pretending he was going to step inside when really he had the rest of the Wigan team inside him. He didn't need to do that. Maybe he was influenced a bit by a couple of players shooting the line a little bit inside him, but he didn't need to do what he did. And that was his only mistake in the game as well. But obviously he didn't grab the tries that Marshall got, so Marshall's getting all the plaudits. But when your fourth choice winger is scoring every sort of try like he did, they weren't all easy. The first try and the fourth try weren't easy finishes.
No, not at all.
The pace he showed, he absolutely stormed away from Matty Russell, didn't he? And Matty Russell's not slow. No. So on his intercept try. So there's a lot to feel good at as a Wigan fan, and not a great deal as a Warrington fan.
Yeah, no, I mean, I took a couple of things away from this game. First of all, it goes without saying that Wigan's youth policy and system produces some real talent and consistently goes about doing it and is delivering again, particularly on both flanks for you at the moment.
Before you make your other point, we'll talk about that, if that's okay.
By all means.
The thing that I like about it, and I'm not saying use Sean Wayne as your sort of PR go-to kind of example, but this is one area where he does outperform some of his rival coaches in that when we're going to have an injury crisis, he'll say, yeah, it's not ideal or whatever, but what his emphasis will always be is, I'm quite excited about it though.
Yeah.
It means I get to give another Wigan product a debut.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying things like that, and no wonder these teams come into the side and perform like they are because of the continuity in the sort of system.
Okay, so slight edit there. The bat phone went off. I'm back from fighting crime now, and we can carry on. Mark, you were talking about Sean Wayne's positivity around putting young players in, and I tend to agree with you. It is refreshing to hear him not kind of use it as a preliminary excuse. In terms of, like, you see certain coaches doing that, we're going to have to put some kids in, but it's a good chance for them to learn, and hopefully they'll come in and do a good job. Sean Wayne backs them, and he sounds very, very confident in putting them in, doesn't he? Yeah,
my point was finished when the phone rang, I suppose. But as a Wigan fan, I like seeing that. But go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing, obviously, it's nice to see Wigan playing in this style. It was one of the, I think we've alluded to it in the fan feedback stuff, but it was one of the most enjoyable Wigan games I can remember watching for some time. In fact, since the last time you pretty much did a number on them in the game where Ben Flower got sent off, when you started playing that expansive brand of rugby league, and it is much more attractive to watch from my point of view. Warrington aren't far from clicking, I don't think. They were unfortunate in that they came up against you in red hot form, and they didn't help themselves with the amount of errors that they made. But there were glimpses in there of things clicking for them offensively, and if they start to get rolling forward again, they desperately need some experience back in the pack in terms of Chris Hill. They're really missing Ben Curry. Who wouldn't miss Ben Curry? But there were times when they got their attack sort of flowing a little bit, and it just was a bit stilted. But on other days, things like that will stick. So,
but that's the remarkable thing. Warrington are missing their players, and Wigan are without Sam Tompkins, Joe Burgess and Don Manfredi, who are arguably on paper two of the best three or two of the best five wingers in the league.
Yeah.
They're missing John Bateman, who is one of the best five players in the league, arguably.
Yeah.
Certainly on last season's reckoning, and Man of Steel favourite, wasn't he, before the season started? Still without Michael McIlorum. There's
oh no, take nothing away from you lads.
That's the difference of approach of the kids the squad depth will fix the problem. Wigan have the best squad depth, and that's why Wigan will be there or thereabouts in all the competitions this year.
No, you're absolutely right. But what do the stats tell us about this one? What does it bear out for us?
There were a few interesting stats in this game, Thomas. It had the best positive-negative play differential so far this season, with plus 22 across both sides. This was helped by the highest successful offload number this year, 36 in the game. That number was helped by the losing side, 29 from Warrington, which is the second highest by a team in one game since SLP began.
Wow.
Also, this game had the most runs from dummy half so far this year, which always happens in Warrington games, it seems, every season.
Oh dear.
In terms of how the game was won, despite their high offload number, Wire had fewer tackle busts and fewer clean breaks than their opponents. It was 4-10 on the clean break count. This despite being on the right end of a 6-4 penalty count. 13 errors to Wigan's 5 is a hint why they weren't able to do more in this game. For Wigan, the 10-4 in breaks saw a 7-3 difference in try scored and 213 more metres at half a metre better average gain.
There you go. So individually then, there will have been a lot of standout players for Wigan, but who made the cut, Mark?
Yeah, the 5 men who made the cut are Sean O'Loughlin with 2 try assists, 106 metres, George Williams with 3 try assists, Anthony Gelling with a try, 180 metres, 2 clean breaks. Liam, I thought he was going to go for another roly-poly on that when he broke up the field in the second half there. Liam Farrell with a try, 7 tackle busts, 193 metres, 2 clean breaks, and Liam Marshall with 4 tries, 128 metres, 3 clean breaks.
And for Warrington then?
Well, they saw, a decent amount of opportunities in this one, and some players did do well. Darryl Clark, 44 tackles, 190 metres, 5 successful offloads. Offload numbers feature high in all of these kind of things here. Mike Cooper, 45 tackles, 4 successful offloads. Matty Russell, 5 tackle busts, 133 metres, 4 successful offloads. Ryan Atkins, a try, 127 metres, 4 successful offloads. The one I remember best though is the one where he dropped it trying to offload it, and then He didn't get up celebrating a try because it was like only 20 metres out from his own line, but I reckon if it was nearer to the try line, he would have thought he scored.
You should probably let some of this stuff go.
Well, and Tom Lynham with a try, 148 metres and 2 clean breaks.
I actually really liked Ryan Atkins' try. I know you sort of...
No, it was good. It was good play by Warrington.
I thought that would be my example of like kind of Warrington not being too far off, because they rolled up the field and took advantage of that. So there's stuff to be positive about for Warrington. It's not time to... You can't press the alarm yet for them, can you?
It doesn't feel the same as St Helens, who we're going to get on to now.
Well, yes, let's do that, because on Friday night, Hull FC took on St Helens over at the KCOM Stadium, 11,500 people in attendance, plus 87. It was Hull FC 24, Saints 14. A scoreline that actually slightly flatters Hull, Mark, who left it late to get a win over the Saints.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game. We saw with Rich Langley. That's how you grind out a game. Is Albert the missing piece for the whole jigsaw? Still worrying that without Ellis we sometimes look rudderless. And is it time for Connor at fullback? Roll onto the Mighty Chemics next week.
Tyler Caspan.
There's 2 questions there. Shall we answer them or leave them hanging?
Well, let's answer them, shall we?
Albert Kelly. I was impressed by his defence.
Right, yeah.
Because
who did he put the shot? Who did he put? It was almost a shoulder charge, getting back into the line. Who was that on? It was on. I think it might have been on Roby or something like that. Towards the end of the game, he came out of nowhere, just put a massive hit on someone. At that point, West Saints were trying to claw their way back into the game. I think just after the penalty try, he put a huge hit in and really put a shift in. And yeah, credit to him.
Much better than you've seen from him over the time, in terms of he looks like he wants to defend. He might not always get it right, but it looks like he at least has an appetite for it, which he didn't in a Hull KR shirt, I felt. And then Connor at fullback instead of Jamie Shaw?
I don't think so. I think, look, form is temporary, class is permanent, and Jamie Shaw has class by the bucket load, so no for me. What do you reckon?
It might add a bit more creativity with Connor, because I think he's got a more rounded game, but I don't think he's... A lot of what Hull want to do is get offloads off Watson Taylor.
Yeah.
And, with Houghton and Shaw, they do that well. And I'm not sure Connor would be the same sort of support player around that sort of thing. And Shaw knows the systems, knows the players, knows the moves. I don't think there's a need to make a knee-jerk change, though. He's not playing terribly.
No, if I was in charge,
he's just not setting it alight.
I'd keep that whole back five as static as possible. Really,
if anything, people made too much of Jamie Shaw last year, and he was very good rather than outstanding. And to me, he wouldn't have been in the dream team and was rightfully not picked for England. But because Hull was so good and he was very good, people elevated all the Hull players, I feel, last year, because they were surprised by how well Hull did. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, look, I think there's some very, very classy, very talented, exceptional rugby league footballers at Hull FC, but it's that old case of things being greater than some of their parts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Tyler Casfan got in touch. He said, why Hull took so long to win this game, I'll never know. Saints were pretty clueless, and Cunningham got what he deserved for showing no faith in his young halves and putting Wilkin there. His kicking was shite. Wilkin did not have the best game I've ever seen him having a Saints jersey, and at times, he kicked the ball straight off the park right at the end to just...
That was awful.
Poor choice.
Yeah.
From a man who should know a lot better.
That was surely the end of his halfback playing days.
No, I suspect you'll see him I think you'll see him in the Isles next week, mate.
Only if 2 or 3 other players get injured in the process of the game.
Do you want a cheeky fiver on it now that John Wilkin lines up in the Isles next week for Saints?
No, because I can't second guess a man who keeps saying how good St Helens are playing.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Frogmore, St Helens fan, says Zeb Taia, enough said.
That very.
what? I think it was 5 handling errors from Taia in the game.
Not good. Saint David got in touch. He said dull error and penalty strewn gain. Better from Saints as much because we didn't split our halves, and the pack bent their collective backs. Still far from immense, as the coach would have us believe. Wilkins' kicking is terrible. Both Farge and Richardson kick far better. Wamsley, Percival and Farge best of an average bunch. When was the last time a team conceded a penalty try and an 8-point try in successive weeks? Don't know. Shall we talk about the penalty try? Now, or do you want to wait till later?
The 8-point try. We'll wait till Paul has this shout next up, because Paul obviously is our former referee consultant.
Yes.
But Percival, was a cut above. I think he was the most. I think he was the most enjoyable to watch player on the field.
Anything entertaining that Saints did, or anything exciting and dynamic, generally had gone through the hands of, or was in the hands of Mark Percival.
Yeah, or was Alex Walmsley before.
Yeah, it was
sort of
game.
Yeah. Paul O'Brien says, hard game and a good result for Hull. Both teams